Hello, welcome to FHE on the Road with Christine Stevenson. This podcast is designed to connect the people and the places from the past with your lives today, with 5-minute stories and facts from church history. Save these stories for when you are traveling through these areas to bring history to life. Okay, welcome to FHE on the Road with Christine Stevenson. I am super excited to start this new podcast. It has been a long time coming, and I hope that it will be of use to anyone who's interested. I'm going to start with a little bit of background about myself so you know who's talking and where it all began. So, like I said, my name is Christine. I was born and raised in Utah. I served my mission in Barcelona, Spain, and I studied anthropology at Utah Valley University, graduated a while ago. I have 3 kids who are all getting pretty old now. And I've always had a love of church history. Always. I started way back in the day, back in junior high. I read Work in the Glory and I got really interested in those stories. I feel like that book is a great intro to church history for kids, especially teenagers. And so I really loved learning about Joseph Smith. I love learning about his life and the people that were around him and the miracles that he saw. And that's kind of where my love began. And then serving my mission in Spain, then I was amazed at all of the historical events that I didn't know about and how much the church has influenced the world. And so I've always been interested in that. I actually had a companion. So like I said, I served in Spain, but one of my companions was from Germany, and she taught me so much about the church in Germany and how it had changed her life and what had happened in that time of the world. Anyways, and so I was really interested in that, and I took some really good classes at Utah Valley University. And I took some really good institute classes, and I loved hearing all of these fascinating stories. And a lot of times I'd go back and try to find the stories, and they're really hard to find. So the teachers were just really good at diving into the topics and discovering these miracles. And I could not find these stories very easily when I wanted to find them to reference them. So I got married, had 3 kids, and then my husband's family, they're really big into traveling in motorhomes and going on road trips. My family was not as good as about that. We would mostly take a couple trips a year, if that. And after marrying my husband and going to all of these amazing, beautiful spots throughout the United States, especially around Utah, especially in southern Utah, then I started again to wonder about the history of each place, especially Latter-day Saint history. And we got a new motorhome. Probably it's not new anymore, but 5 or 6 years ago. And we took our family down to St. George. We've been to St. George, Utah, plenty of times, but this time we had a little bit more time to explore and wander around. We went to a home down there that's been preserved by the church. It's the Jacob Hamlin home. And I was a little bit confused at why that house had been preserved, because there were lots of amazing pioneers. So why Jacob Hamlin? Why was his home preserved, and why do they do tours through it? Even after the tour, I was confused. I was like, wait a minute. Why this man? Why this home? And then we went to the St. George Temple, and we went to the visitor center, and there was a missionary there who taught us about the foundation of the St. George Temple. And it was so good. He was so engaging. I loved this missionary. It was a senior missionary, and he was so engaging, and we loved it. I had never heard these stories about the St. George Temple Foundation. So I kind of questioned him about Jacob Hamlin. I was like, I don't understand. And he was like, I'm actually one of the descendants of Jacob Hamlin. And I was like, whoa. And he told us, he's like, if you really want to know why it's been preserved and what kind of life Jacob Hamlin led, then he he recommended a book. We bought it on Amazon, and my husband and I were pretty excited. My husband read it and loved it, and I read it and loved it too. But I was like, um, why aren't these stories common knowledge? Like, why aren't they easier to find? Why aren't they everywhere? Anyways, so that trip to St. George kind of sent me on a journey, and with my husband's help, I've started collecting amazing, miraculous stories throughout church history. And I want them for every time I'm traveling, every time I'm out with my family or friends. I want to know the history, the Latter-day Saint history in each location. I want to know about the miracles and the prophecies that were seen and done. I want to know about prayers that were answered. And so I've started collecting them. I've been doing it about a year and a half. And this is where this podcast stemmed from. I found that it's really hard to read a blog while I'm out and about looking at these locations. So I am going to record the stories, and so that we can hear them and listen to them while we're going, kind of like a tour guide. So it's called FHE on the Road, and it's to find these stories and listen to these miracles of God everywhere you are in the world. Hopefully, eventually. I am adding to it all the time. I'm still looking and finding stories. If you